Welcome Taurus to your in-depth monthly horoscope for August 2023 for the Sun or the Ascendant. I'm going to give you some standout details to look out for. It's a really exciting month, but please stay with me. I will explore in much greater detail all the key influences and timings particularly relevant to your sign. And whenever we think about Venus, we have to think about your ruler, which is in a retrograde for the whole of this month. And that could be giving you food for thought around where you live, how you live there, the more decorative environment of your home. It may even see you thinking much more about escaping into nature and finding peace and tranquility. Or because the fourth house is very much about our emotions and Venus can be about relating. It may be the case that if you feel that a relationship that you do or don't have needs to take on a more nurturing dimension, that is really going to be important. But I really have to tell you about the Venus Cazimi, which occurs on the 13th. It's also forging a gorgeous link with the North Node, newly arrived in your 12th house through the first week. And we have a big clash between the Sun and Jupiter and the Sun and Uranus, both Jupiter and Uranus in your sign. So can't wait to share all of that with you. I'd like to share with you a very special opportunity. This year is absolutely racing by and year 2024 is speeding towards us. However, if you order your year 2024 personal horoscope forecast now, based on your unique birth data, I will prepare for you the rest of year 2023 free of charge. But also within my package of 30% off, you can get your character analysis report, your life roadmap. This helps you to understand the patterns that have played out in your journey so far. Some of these definitely give us opportunities, but others can be more challenging, and a more intimate understanding of these helps us to seize our potential more firmly. Please see the link beneath this video for more on this unique opportunity. So Taurus, let's unpack this month. It begins in dramatic fashion because there is a full moon in the part of your situation on the 1st that's very much to do with work. But on the other side of the heavens, you have the Sun and Venus in the part of your situation to do with home and life. So that work-life balance could be something that you need to reorientate somewhat over the first couple of weeks of this month. Now there is an opportunity on the first day of this month too, because Jupiter in your sign, which is very much about opportunity, is in a great link with Mars. If you want to spellbind someone with the power of your charisma, the warmth of your nature, or just how alluring you are, that's a super confident combination. The problem, however, is that Saturn, the planet of restraint and limitation, is in an opposition with Mercury. Mercury also in Virgo, like Mars. Mercury in the 5th house is very much about being playful and demonstrating our talents, but Saturn puts the handbrake on, and it could just inhibit you a little bit just when Mars and Jupiter are urging you to seize the moment. But also the full moon means, because there could be some professional demands impacting on how you feel, or perhaps you're not quite sure about your support structures. If you have got a role which has a lot of demands, there's quite a lot to think about at the start of this month, but charm will get you everywhere, and Mars and Jupiter certainly is going to give you oodles of it as you come into this new month. But just be aware that your own thinking at times could be challenged by the more sterile and anxiety generating limitation of Saturn applying to Mercury. However, the first week of this month, the first 10 days in fact, the Sun in the nurturing 4th house and in its home zone of Leo is in a right angle with Jupiter. If you're someone who gets a lot of enrichment from helping others, then this could see you doing a good deed for a neighbour or a family member, or playing mine host. In fact, with Venus in its retrograde coming towards the Sun and the two meeting between the 11th and the 14th, your legendary gift as a host really could be enhanced and magnified beautifully. Also, there's a lovely link in week 2 between Mercury and Jupiter. So Mercury, the planet of communication, but also of commerce, is linking with the planet of trade, Jupiter. So there could be some kind of good news story that evolves at that time. Maybe it is going to be about buying and selling property or getting the lease on a new flat, but something can evolve for you that you're pleased about. What's more challenging is that between the 12th and the 19th, and encompassing the new moon in Leo on the 16th, the Sun is in a right angle with Uranus in your sign. Uranus has been quite the player for you since 2018, 5 months, since 2019 March, depending on where the Sun is or other personal planets in your natal chart. Uranus has probably really been shaking things up. It may have seen you become much more rebellious. It may have seen you changing something that's been very well established. You may have tried some fresh things. You may have developed a much more direct way of being. You may have rejected any kind of limitation in your world. The problem is, on this particular aspect and threaded through the new moon, if you are wanting to break free of something emotionally, the chains of a pattern or an addiction or a way of being or a location or a property that you're in, but through going through that separation it creates some kind of turbulence, that may be something that you need to consider very carefully. What can help you is the North Node, now in your 12th house, is instinctively guiding you psychologically, but particularly around emotional issues, in its alliance with the position of the retreating Venus, and that's going to be really obvious in the first week of this month. So in other words, listen to your sixth sense. But the Sun moves on the 23rd into your sister Earth sign of Virgo. Great, because that helps you to radiate more charisma, but also feel more physically energized. But on the same day, Mercury does slam on the brakes, and that's going to go on through to the 15th of September, and it doesn't come out of its whole complete post-retrograde period until the 30th of September. So that starts this month on the 4th, the pre-retrograde shadow, the retrograde itself on the 23rd, and right through to the end of September. So just be aware that when it comes to your ideas, your self-expression, your social life, your romantic situation, some things could be a bit stop-start, helter-skelter. There may be the need for review and revision, which is always the case with Mercury retrograde. It doesn't necessarily mean that everything will go wrong, but it does mean that we need to be flexible. The great news about Mercury being located in its home sign of Virgo, it's that it's mutable, that it can deal with a degree of flexing, which will help you. However, Mars does transition out of your 5th house, which is undoubtedly a good thing, into your 6th house on the 28th. This is asking you to take some of the things that you've been excited about and try to mold them into something that would be more tangible and long lasting. If you are someone who would like to get a little bit fitter and think more about how you can do a job that gives you more personal satisfaction, I think that Mars moving through the sign of Libra, certainly in terms of your relationship to others, is going to be important. But then Uranus goes into the retrograde on the 29th. So along with Venus and Mercury this month, Saturn and Pluto and Neptune, we've got a whole raft of retrogrades. Uranus retrograde in your sign, it really depends how closely it is aligning and will align through to January the 27th next year as it inverses backwards. Perhaps something that you've tried to be much more experimental about is now going to slow down and give you food for thought. That's why I wouldn't be too impulsive on the back of that new moon of the 16th, which pushes you to make a change, but it could also see you be very defensive and reactive and triggered around a situation that may be better to take your time, coming to a point of decision. So just be conscious of that, because the blue moon, which occurs on the 31st, does occur very close to Saturn in the part of your situation to do with your long-term future. So if you are impulsive at the heart of this month, you could pay for it at the end of the month. Also, the blue moon is going to see a quincunx between the newly arrived Mars in Libra, your 6th house, with the position of Saturn in your 11th house, and aligning where we need to be of service, the 6th house, with where we're connected to others in a more friendship situation, is not always so easy. So I would say, as this month draws to a close, it's going to be important to manage your time carefully. Be aware that things can be a bit fluid. Be conscious that that part of you that can be very stubborn, very determined, and very annoyed if you feel that things aren't going quite as you want, or there are things slightly outside of your control. It would be easy, particularly on the back of that Leo new moon, to get really angry about something. But really, with Mercury going retrograde, I feel that you need to give yourself a little bit of maneuverability. So as you come to the end of this month, maybe the thing that was causing you to feel most aggravated at the heart of this month will actually seem less important when you're actually aligning towards what's really truly vital for your interests and your personal needs in terms of your longer term future, but showcasing what makes you really special. So I wouldn't threaten the heart of the security in your situation too much by being too reactive at the heart of this month. You know, with Jupiter squaring the Sun, Uranus squaring the Sun, and involved in that new moon, I really would wait until this month evolves, because your potential to express your talents is really going to be showcased, and it's just that you are likely to feel quite sensitive with the Sun and Venus so closely aligned, but that doesn't mean to say it's all negatives. And if you have really been seriously considering giving your home a major makeover decoratively, or in terms of home furnishings, or starting a business from home, or is there going to be a new addition to your family, or are you going to have people staying, I feel that that part of you that really likes to spoil people, but also have the best that you can possibly create, whether it's through your own home crafting and making skills, or it is through buying things in, I feel that there is going to be an opportunity to really enjoy that part of your nature that loves a little bit of lush this month. And just be aware that if you feel a bit conflicted between doing what's right for you, the individual, and what actually creates the greatest amount of security, your instincts as a fixed sign is to stick with what you know. So just be aware that Uranus is being quite provocative to you this month, and you need to handle its energy quite astutely. It's been a real pleasure being with you, Taurus. Thank you so much for joining me. Please like, comment, or subscribe.